Hey there, welcome to the Hollywood Con, your go-to place for unbelievable true crime stories from the glitzy world of entertainment. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of Hollywood's most astonishing and audacious scams. Buckle up, because we're uncovering the incredible saga of Zach Horwitz, the mastermind behind a jaw-dropping $650 million Ponzi scheme. Our story begins in sunny Los Angeles, a city of dreams, fame, and glamour, where every aspiring actor hopes to become a star. Zachary Horwitz was no different. Born in Berkeley, California, Zachary Joseph Horwitz moved to Hollywood with big ambitions, aiming to carve out a space among the stars. On the surface, Zach, who later adopted the screen name Zach Avery, appeared to live the perfect Hollywood life. He had minor roles in films, small parts you probably wouldn't notice, but enough to fuel his dreams and keep him believing he was on the cusp of stardom. He lived in an extravagant $6 million mansion, threw lavish parties, and drove luxury cars. He seemed to have it all: a loving wife, a beautiful home, and a promising future. But beneath this glamorous surface was a shocking truth. Zach Horwitz's Hollywood fairy tale was built entirely on lies. You see, Zach wasn't just another actor trying to make ends meet. In 2013, he launched a company called 1MM Capital. According to Zach, this was an innovative film distribution company. His pitch was simple but incredibly compelling. He told investors he had exclusive contracts to buy the rights to movies, mainly low-budget horror and indie films, and then distribute them globally through streaming giants like HBO and Netflix. Investors were promised massive returns, up to 45%, in just a matter of months. Who wouldn't jump at an opportunity like that? To make his scam believable, Zach produced slick-looking contracts, elaborate presentations, and professional-looking documentation supposedly from HBO and Netflix executives. Everything appeared legitimate, and why wouldn't investors believe him? After all, Zach was charming, articulate, and convincing. He mingled with Hollywood insiders, creating the illusion of success, stability, and prestige. But here's the kicker: none of these lucrative streaming deals existed. Zach had fabricated every single one. He was running a classic Ponzi scheme, taking new investors' money to pay off earlier investors, creating an illusion of extraordinary success and reliability. And it wasn't just a handful of people. Zach managed to convince some of the most sophisticated and financially savvy individuals and groups to invest. Hedge funds, wealth managers, and entertainment executives, people who should have known better, were all taken in by his smooth talk and impeccable image. One of his main investors was a Chicago-based firm called JJMT Capital. Between 2014 and 2019, JJMT wired over $160 million to Horwitz's company. And like many others, they were lured in by promises of huge profits and reassured by seemingly airtight contracts with names like HBO and Netflix stamped across the top. As the money poured in, Zach's lifestyle grew more outrageous. He didn't just fund his own acting projects, he made sure to look every bit the part of a successful Hollywood mogul. We're talking designer suits, exclusive club memberships, first-class travel, and pricey gifts for friends and associates. He even gave tours of his mansion, showing off framed contracts and emails with fake Netflix executives to impress and manipulate his visitors. Zach had truly mastered the illusion. And that's what made his con so dangerous. It wasn't just about lying, it was about performance. He wasn't just a fraudster. He was playing the greatest role of his life. But like all great illusions, it couldn't last forever. In late 2019, the first cracks began to show. Investors were no longer getting their returns on time. Zach offered excuses: delays in payments, logistical hiccups, miscommunication with streaming platforms. He always had an answer, always sounded calm and confident. But behind the scenes, he was spiraling. When investors pushed for proof, he forged emails, literally made-up emails from made-up Netflix and HBO executives. And not just one or two. We're talking dozens of fake conversations, complete with logos, formatting, and jargon that made them look legit. He even used fake names like Mike LaRocca and made up titles like Head of Acquisitions. Still, the pressure was mounting. The more he forged, the more questions came. And eventually, even the most patient investors started calling in lawyers. Lawsuits began piling up. Private investigators were hired, and slowly the curtain started to lift. Then, in April 2021, everything came crashing down. FBI agents arrived at Zach's Beverlywood mansion and arrested him. The illusion shattered in an instant. The evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, forged emails, falsified contracts, investor statements. It all pointed to a massive, premeditated fraud that had lasted for years. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, the total amount involved in the scheme exceeded $650 million, though the actual losses were around $230 million. Still an almost unfathomable sum. Zach pleaded guilty to one count of securities fraud. During sentencing, he expressed remorse and claimed he was overwhelmed by the pressure of maintaining his lifestyle and investors' expectations. But for many of his victims, his words rang hollow. Some had invested their life savings. Others had borrowed money to buy into what they believed was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The emotional and financial toll was devastating. And it wasn't just about money, it was about trust. Zach had positioned himself as a friend, a business partner, a fellow dreamer. He took advantage of people's hopes and used them to fund his own. In February 2022, he was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison and ordered to repay over $230 million in restitution. But let's be honest, most of that money is gone, lavished away on parties, property, and luxury. So, who was Zach Horwitz? A desperate actor who got in too deep? Or a master manipulator who always knew exactly what he was doing? Maybe a bit of both. In a place like Hollywood, where image is everything, Zach built the perfect mask. And he wore it flawlessly until the truth caught up with him. His story isn't just a tale of fraud, it's a warning about the seductive power of image, about how charm and confidence can blind even the sharpest minds, and about how, in the land of illusion, sometimes the biggest lies are the ones that look the most real. Thanks for sticking with us as we unraveled the incredible rise and fall of Zach Horwitz, a man who turned Hollywood dreams into a financial nightmare. If you found this story as wild as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the twisted world of Hollywood deception. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, in Hollywood, not everything is as it seems.